Was this ODI World Cup the last time we saw players like Rashid Khan and Ramanuela Gurbas participate in an ICC tournament? Ever wondered how global events impact the world of cricket? Today, we dive into a narrative surrounding the Afghanistan Cricket Board. From Taliban's takeover to calls for suspension by Human Rights Watch. The story is complex, so join me as we understand an eventual ban of Afghanistan Cricket Board. In one of my previous videos, I have talked about the Sri Lankan Cricket Board that was suspended by the ICC over government interference. Although they later removed the ban, but to widen the perspective, it is utterly important to understand that government interference is not the sole reason why a board can be cut off. Therefore, there is a reason why Afghanistan Cricket Board should be worried. Since the Taliban took over the country, they have not allowed women to play sports. Meanwhile, several of the players of the women's team have fled the country to avoid repercussions. In 2012, ICC introduced an anti-discrimination policy under which they clearly stated that there is no room for discrimination in the sports, whether it is based on race, color, or gender. Citing that, Human Rights Watch called for a suspension of Afghanistan in January 2023. They wanted ICC to follow their own anti-discrimination policy. But ICC has not taken any decision so far. And to be honest, we don't know if they are planning to take any decision or ban Afghanistan. And a ban is a complicated story, however. So I have few arguments that are in favor and against the eventual ban of Afghanistan Cricket Board. So let's begin. So what's in favor? According to ICC's policy, their main agenda is to offer an environment where everyone is welcome regardless of their gender, color, or culture. Thus, the Taliban's restrictive policies are a clear violation of ICC's principles. Hence, they have the power to suspend the Afghanistan Cricket Board. Also, Afghanistan does not fulfill ICC's criteria of being a full member, which clearly states that the governing body should be responsible for the development of men's and women's cricket in the country, which they are not doing anymore. So there is an argument, apart from an eventual ban, that ICC can demote Afghanistan's membership from full member to associate member. And that will result in a dent for their growth because the funds they will get will be far lesser as an associate member compared to a full member. It is although worth mentioning that last year, Afghanistan Cricket Board said that they would like to develop women's cricket in the country, but they are monitoring the current situation. However, in the 70s and in the 80s, South African Cricket Board was suspended by the ICC and their players could not participate in the ICC tournaments. The reason was apartheid, also discrimination. So by saying that, my point is that the time periods are different for sure, but the rules are still the same. There was discrimination then, there is discrimination today. Men and women are not playing on equal grounds, which was the case in South Africa as well, where white and black players were not playing on the same grounds. By suspending Afghanistan, the ICC will send a strong message to governments and cricket boards worldwide that they take a firm stance against discrimination and takes any actions that go against their principles. And that is what bolsters the argument of an eventual ban of Afghanistan Cricket Board. But what about the other part? There are a few cons as well of an eventual ban. Naveen ul-Haq tweeted after Australia cancelled their tour against Afghanistan that it is childish from Cricket Australia and the decision takes away the only reason for happiness instead of being supportive. His point is that sports can play a positive role in fostering unity amongst the local. And that is a point I truly agree on. We have seen in the past what sports can do to a society. We have seen in the 30s when Francisco Franco was the leader of Spain and what football matches meant for Catalonian people to protect and preserve their culture and language. A suspension will not only impact the board but also its players, officials and fans who don't have any control over internal politics. Therefore, there is an argument that the cricket board should not be held responsible for the actions taken by its government. But this was the case in South Africa as well in the 70s and 80s, right? It was not the players' fault that there was apartheid in the society. Or maybe it was, but they still paid for it. And I don't see this case different at all from South Africa's case in 70s and 80s, because there was a discrimination back then and there is a discrimination now. As you see, it's not a straightforward decision, but historically, what ICC has done in such scenarios is that they have suspended that cricket board. It happened to South Africa in the 70s and 80s, and it may happen to Afghanistan cricket board as well, at least according to the policies ICC relates to and follows. So let's see what the future holds for Afghanistan cricket board. And I won't be surprised if they are suspended, but it is very unlikely that they will be suspended, at least for now. I will end this video on this note, but if you would like to watch my previous video when I talked about umpire's call, you will find it here. See you.